Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. We have Evan Samet from Arlington, Virginia with us today, and Evan is the epitome of what a professional, an entrepreneur, would be going through the COVID-19 times. So, Evan actually started in college with business from his dorm room, where he was basically ticketing live events, and that's where his focus has been throughout his career, in live events in the entertainment industry and such. And he's seen ups as well as downs, especially during the COVID-19 times, when around March timeframe, his business got hit pretty drastically, and then he had to reinvent himself to keep up with the times. We'll find out about his struggle, his story, and his triumph from Evan. Welcome, Evan.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be on the podcast. And you're right, share my journey throughout my professional career and how COVID has changed me as a person, as a businessman, and advice I would give to other entrepreneurs going forward.
Awesome. So why don't you, in your own words, Evan, tell us a little bit about yourself and where your entire professional journey started?
So I started my business my sophomore year from my dorm room at Quinnipiac University, and I just started buying and selling tickets to different live events throughout the country. Early on, I was able to kind of notice that there was a shift happening in the music industry. People were buying albums less and less. People were buying individual songs less and less. And the real way for artists to make money was to go out on the road and play live shows. So I looked at the business and I said, it's really, trending up. And I took everything I had in, my savings, which was around $5,000 to $6,000, and decided to invest it all in this business. Going to concerts has always been something that was a passion of mine. So I thought, you know what, might as well try to start a business that I love and have, passions for. So, over time, I just slowly grew the business. With very little to no outside capital, and just kept reinvesting every dollar in, every dollar out. I sold it, every dollar right back into the business. And, just through a lot of hard work and growing slowly, I was able to get acquired in 2018 by another competitor in the business. And then, around 4 months after that, I went to go work for a startup in the live entertainment space. Who was looking to do what I was doing, but just on a much bigger scale. And it turned out to be a tremendous, decision for me. I really helped grow the music and the Broadway of that company. And we went from around 5 employees, I was employee number 5 or 6, to around 32 to 33 employees at the time of COVID, and having the best success we ever had as a company and looking to grow. And then COVID hit around St. Patrick's Day weekend in March, and it's changed, my professional life forever.
No, that's pretty interesting what you said in terms of your first taste of entrepreneurship. When you actually started in your dorm room, and you did say that you sold that aspect of your business, what was your journey like? Was it smooth, or did you face any obstacles? What do you remember of the time?
So, I guess one of the good things about starting a business at, 19 years old is, you don't really have that much responsibility. I was a college student, but, life was, relatively simple. And, I saw a good show coming up and I said, you know what? There's a lot of demand. I'll just buy some tickets and then, figure out how to sell them. There has to be some demand. And it ended up, really going well. And I made, actually one of my better sales that I've ever done. And then I decided to take time and say, you know what, if I'm going to try to do this business correct, let me really, learn the ins and outs of entertainment, concerts, bands, promoters, how the whole industry works. And then, I think there was a little fun aspect of being just naive about, business and about the industry and willing to take risks. And knowing that at the end of the day, if everything failed, I would be okay. I was putting up, little money, and I didn't have, a family to support. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a job. This was my full-time thing. And I committed everything I had to it. And, I just, as I went along, just kept learning little by little, little by little. Maybe my professors wouldn't want to hear this, focusing on schoolwork a little bit less, focusing on the business a little bit more. And it was an amazing opportunity.
And when you sold your business, how did you feel?
It's funny because I always remember, reading stories about people, selling their business and, saying how upset they were. And I never really understood it. But then, at the time you're happy. And then a couple of days later, you have that itch, you have that you want to get back to work, and there's nothing to at that time that will satisfy you like the business did. And looking back on it, I know now, and I knew at the time it was the right decision, but I felt lost for a little bit. It sounds very cliche, but it was my baby. It was everything I had worked for the past 5 to 6 years. It was the only thing I really wanted to talk about. I was a broken record in conversation, just talking about business, good wordplay, talking about music, talking about concerts, talking about Broadway shows, talking about, comedians. And, I felt the day after I sold it, I felt ready to get back into the business again, and just try to learn more and be better than, I was in my own company, and see new heights that I could reach.
And you did in the other venture that you were a part of until COVID hit.
Yeah. So a key investment group, I really came in and I was able to take the knowledge and the skills that I had and really paired up with a company that had much better back end operations than I did. I think a mistake that entrepreneurs make is, they try to be really secretive about their business early on because they feel that, someone's going to rip off their idea or make their idea better and keep going at it. I was so secretive about, I would talk about events and, people that I was listening to, but I didn't tell anyone my strategies. I didn't, share my data with anyone. I didn't share my records with anyone because I thought if I shared someone, they might take it from me. And when I realized I'd hit a certain point where my business was just flatlining, and I was able to pair up with this company that had much better back end operations, much better technology, and I was able to take what they put in place and the knowledge I had and hit sales numbers that I was hitting sales, or as a company we were doing sales numbers in a month to 2 months that I was doing in a year. And had I never, at the rate that I was going at business that I found, that I never would have hit those numbers because my eyes were never even opened to what back end operations look like.
Mm-hmm. And then when things changed after COVID hit, what was the initial reaction?
It's going to come as so, I'm saying this now and we're filming this in November, but it took me and I think the people around me longer to accept COVID than, probably other people did. I mean, we were saying, okay, whatever, we'll be on a hiatus for 2 months. Let's look at our inventory. Let's see what we need to move quickly. I mean, if you told me in March that there wouldn't be another concert or live event, a large scale in all of 2020, I would have told you you're crazy. I'm a big tennis fan myself. I'm a big, Wimbledon guy. They had never missed a year of Wimbledon, essentially. And, I think it took me a long time to take it to really accept what was going on. And then once I did accept what was going on, we tried to go into, crisis mode. And I think, we tried to shift the lever too far and say, okay, let's get rid of everything we have. Because, at the time in April, it seemed like the world was ending. You were never going to go out to eat at a restaurant again. You were never going to see friends if they didn't, live with you. You never going to see family again unless they were in your apartment or house. And then, slowly but surely things started, science started pointing in the right direction a little bit. And, I think, a mistake that we did is now we're looking to, really revamp the business is we're trying to pick, things that we have developed, avenues of business that we have developed from knowledge in the sports business and the concert business, and how can we, monetize that in more efforts than just, ticketing? Is there cards that we could do? Is there, signings that we could do? Or is there memorabilia that we could, buy and sell? Are there vintage items that we know because of how important these shows were in the past, that in the future those are going to be worth more? So we're now really looking at our businesses, instead of just being a ticketing company, how can we be a full scope entertainment company? And excuse me, that's been really, taking up a lot of our time now. And, it'll be good for us just in case, for whatever reason, there is another shutdown that we don't see coming, or there's another halt to live events. We'll be able to pivot and still keep the company very successful.
Awesome. Awesome. What's your take on what businesses should be doing now that we know more about COVID and how long this can draw on?
I mean, I think the most important thing that they should be doing is they should be planning a plan B for their original business. So, I've been working with, someone right now who owns a gym, and, gyms are just starting to reopen again and get back into it. But I told them, I said, they need to, have another avenue of income, whether it's, virtual personal training or, workouts that they can do online that, for people that might be uncomfortable coming back into the gym. I'm working with someone right now who owns a great restaurant in DC, and a good friend of mine, and their mac and cheese is delicious. And I said, what, you should figure out how to box it up and sell it in supermarkets. Have it, in a sense, a pivot to where if your restaurant, if they shut down dining again, or, people are afraid in future winters to come to indoor dining, they can be able to buy your products in supermarkets or buy your products elsewhere so you can keep having sales. So the most important thing that I think entrepreneurs should do right now is figure out what you're good at and what either you're passionate about, or what separates you from other businesses, and try different ways to monetize that in case your main focus takes a hit.
So in your own case, right, in your personal case, you always depended on a job. How have you seen yourself evolve over the months?
How have I seen myself evolve? It's I never have ever taken, a step back from work before. Like when I had, when I sold my business, I tried to jump right in and look for something else. And, when COVID hit, I really decided to take a step back and analyze, I should find, just different things to do and, other things to do besides work. Work has always been my life. It's, if I wasn't working, I was talking about work, and I never had given myself an opportunity to explore passions besides the entertainment space. I went from, starting an entertainment company to working for a company. And now I'm finding other things in the business world that interest me because I've really, sat down and thought about it. And the more I think about it, just the more I love small business, and I love, growing a company and helping people grow a company.
What have you done over the last several months? You're advising businesses right now, I hear?
Yeah. So, and it's weird. I didn't put out an ad. It's just, businesses from, I always tried to make connections, and I always found myself, attracted friends-wise to business owners. Those are always people that I've wanted to have, conversations with and pick their brain about. And, I just kind of wrote to certain people that I worked with and just said, hey guys, everyone knows I'm in, the live entertainment space. We've obviously taken a hit. From my first business, I've been able to be financially successful and not, need to rush anything into a job that I didn't necessarily want just for the money. And I've just been, advising friends and connections on just how to grow their business and trying to help in any way I can to keep busy.
What do you think are the changes that we are going to see more for the long term with the pandemic that we've been through?
So I think that it's actually in the long run going to be very good for service and entertainment businesses Because even now, like when I've been walking the streets of Washington, D.C. and seeing out, I see a lot of people out more during the week than I used to see, let's say, a year ago. Because I think the thought of, okay, I can now go do something, on a Tuesday to where, oh, maybe I wouldn't want to go out to dinner or out till 11 or 12 o'clock on a Tuesday night because, I have to wake up at 6:30 to go to work the next day. Now I'm seeing people out more because all, friends and just people I'm asking are saying, well, I could be out till 11 or 12 o'clock because I can wake up at 7:45 and log on at 8, or I can wake up at 8:30 and log on by 9. And so I think we're going to see more enjoyment or more spending focused on enjoyment. And I think there's going to be less time spent on, I would say, things that people don't necessarily want to do, like commuting or traveling or, necessarily things that in the past, going to work 5 days a week, I just don't see that, happening for the majority of people anymore. We used to travel sometimes to events just to have people there. And now, unless it's, the Super Bowl or the World Series, I could be like this right here with you on Zoom or on FaceTime, and, I can virtually be there and save the 6, 7, 8, 9 hours it would take traveling, door to door to get there. So I think there's going to be more money and time spent on leisure activities, which works really well into our business.
So when you look at your career and your future, what do you think you're planning on doing over the next year to 5 years?
It's a very tough question. So my sister just graduated college in June, and fortunately it had to be virtual. And I said, like, and she was down at the University of Miami, and she would ask me, should I come home? Should I stay? And she's like, I really want to enjoy, my last, month, because I guess she had a lease on her apartment until July. Because I really want to, enjoy and, do this and go out and do as much as I can in my last month before I work for the next 40 years of my life. And I told her, and I said, Allison, I'm 27 years old, and, I've had the highs and the lows and, so many different ways. And I've only been technically in the workforce or out of school for 5 years. So, I said the question is difficult. So I would say in the interim, I'm going to, work with this company and, keep going for the live entertainment space. But I'm definitely going to have my eyes open for any small businesses or any businesses in general that I think are moving forward. The most important thing that I see now, and that I especially realized with COVID, is you want to be part of a business where the future is trending that way. You don't want to be stuck in the past. You don't want to have your feet in the mud per se. And I want to keep my eyes open and help advise any small businesses and any other businesses that I can, because you'll never know when, they're going to want your help and need your help. You'll never know when you'll need their help, because whether their business is, going off succeeding or maybe declining, or our business is succeeding or declining. And I want to keep my options open for the next 5 to 10 years.
And what's the one word of advice that you would give to others in the same bucket like you? What would you ask them to do so that they don't feel overwhelmed with the way things are?
So for my piece of advice, so I have two, and it just depends, I think, on where you are. My first piece of advice is, if you're someone who you're right out of school, or you're in college, or even if you're a successful high school student, take a risk and try to start a business in whatever you are passionate about the most. And the reason I say this is, number one, you'll make a lot of connections that are outside of your bubble. So just reach out to people who, have anything to do in your space, and just, explain why you're starting a business. Because number one, if everything works out and the stars align and it's very successful, you will come out of college, with already 2 to 3 years of work experience. And you'll be able to work with something that you're very, very passionate about. And while everyone, is looking for jobs and, looking for that first job right out of college, you'll be hitting the ground. You'll already be sprinting right by them, because you already have a business and an idea. And if the business doesn't work out, again, you still have that 2 to 3 years experience. You have connections you can tap into and you'll figure out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And I think that's one of the most important things in business is you need to find out where you're strong, because where you bring the most value to a company. And when starting a company, you need to figure out where you're weak, because that's who you need to hire. You need to hire people that specialize in areas where you're weak. And so that'd be my first piece of advice for people in college or, maybe sub 23, 24 years old. And my advice, and I think I alluded on this for business owners earlier that are kind of in the same position that I am, is make sure you have a backup plan, and make sure you really, really figure out what value that you're bringing to your customers. Why do your customers choose your product or your service over the competitors? There's always going to be someone cheaper than you, and there's always going to be someone more expensive than you. So why are they choosing your product or your service? And figure out how you can expand that service and expand that product, to be able to monetize and capitalize on it as well as you can, just in case your first and your, main focus declines.
Awesome. And for people that are looking to get in touch with you in case they want to discuss, whatever you are doing and what's working for you, what's a good place to get you connected?
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I get actually a lot of inspiration from reading about different entrepreneurs' journey on LinkedIn, and I actually get a lot of ideas. I've found it, very, very, great place to be right now, because there's less inspiration outside, because the streets of where I am in Washington, D.C. and in Arlington, Virginia are so empty. So I'm on LinkedIn frequently. So you can reach out to me, and my profile is just Evan Samet.
Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a fresh perspective for everyone. We've heard from businesses, we've heard from other entrepreneurs, but you're someone who's been on both sides of the aisle, and you've shared your story, and I'm hoping this is going to be very inspirational for a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to share my story. And if it's one of your listeners or 10 of your listeners, however many of your listeners are able to take a piece of advice that I said and make their business better, or give them a little pep start, to their day, or help them do something, then I'll know that my time here was worth it. And I hope everyone who's listening, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you liked that episode and are enjoying all the episodes in Plan B Success podcast. I'd encourage you to go subscribe on your favorite platform, whether it's any listening platform or YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you enjoy this content and extract from it what serves you best, what benefits you in your own life, personal, professional, business, whatever it might be. PlanB.live is the website where you can go in order to find any episode that you would like to listen to. 3 times a week, we release episodes, the first being an inspiring interview with someone who's done it, been there, done that, and can inspire you to go after what you want to achieve. Every Monday, that's the episode that gets released. And then, on Wednesdays and Fridays, we pick a topic and we talk about it in order to benefit you in your personal and professional life. At the same time, if you're someone who's interested in learning more about these concepts, if you're someone who's interested in podcasting as well, go check out planbsuccessschool.thinkific.com. That's where all the online courses are. You can learn and benefit from them there as well. There's a bunch of free courses. There's a bunch of paid courses. Start with the free ones. Get to learn what you aspire to learn. And if you want to delve deeper, then you can sign up for the other ones. Thank you very much.